Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and it's another Thursday evening here, November 13th, here in 2014. The month seems to be going by very quickly, just like all the rest, and I don't know if that's something, as I get older, the days and the months are going by pretty quick. But anyways, thanks for tuning in tonight. We've got a great show for you. I'm, of course, your host, Ted Odorico, and as I said, we got a great show coming up here in just a few moments. Joining me is Craig Hanlin, PGA General Manager at the Hombre Golf Club here in Panama City Beach, Florida. He's going to be joining me here in just a few minutes. We'll talk a little bit about that. And later in the broadcast, of course, I'm going to be joined by David Grove. He's the VP of Business Development, and also joining him is Jeff Ritter, VP Sports and Fitness of Mobiplex. And they're going to be talking about the Mobicoach system here in just about an hour's time, so maybe a little bit less. But anyways, make sure that you stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion. And by all means, as always, feel free to call in anytime during the live broadcast. You can do so by calling area code 646-716-4667. And you can also email any questions or comments throughout the show to me personally at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. We're, as I said, live here every Thursday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, unless I otherwise state. You can reach us here. The best way to reach us, obviously, is to go on blogtalkradio.com. That's the hosting site. And you can just go up in the search key and type in Golf Talk Live, and or you can just complete the URL and blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live. That'll get you there as well. As I said, the program is, of course, as most of you know that tune in every week, the program is live from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, unless otherwise indicated, that's 7 to 9. For those of you on the East Coast, just to let you know the time difference. Of course, we're an hour behind here in Panama City Beach, Florida. Also, don't forget that if you want to get updates as well, you can also follow on social media. I'm, of course, all over Facebook and many of the golf groups, and, of course, my personal page. And you can find me on Facebook.com. Also, make sure when you're there, visit the Golf Talk Live blog page at Facebook.com, and make sure while you're there, throw a few likes on the page. I certainly appreciate it. Or you can also reach through Twitter at Ted and Buck CEO. That's CEO in caps, and it's Ted and Buck CEO on Twitter. Always keep updates on the program there as well. And lots of things happening, obviously, as we get closer to the end of the year. Obviously, the PGA Tour is fired up again. And everybody's sort of what used to be kind of the silly season. It seems to be going all year round now, so there's not really much of a break for especially some of the younger guns that are trying to either keep their cards or trying to get a fresh start for 2015 coming up. So always lots of great golf going on, and we always, of course, look forward to the majors. One other thing, quick note here, don't forget to check out now I'm doing a few changes on there, so forgive me. But if you want to check out the website or blog at golftalkliveblog.com, I'm going to be making some changes for 2015 on that as well, just in some of the design in that. As I mentioned, just here in a few moments, I'm just waiting for him to contact the program. Craig Hanlin the PGA General Manager at the Hombre Golf Club in Panama City Beach, Florida, is going to be joining us. And Hombre, of course, is another course that is featured in the South Coast Golf Guide. You've heard me mention that many times on the program. And that, of course, is run by Mr. Jonathan Laird. And Jonathan has been very gracious in the last few months in contacting and reaching out to his contacts here throughout the southeastern part of the United States, which is the area that he covers pretty much from Texas right over here to the Emerald Coast. And getting a lot of the courses and that to participate and come on the program and just tell you a little bit about their facility and introduce you to some great golf here in the Southeast. And especially, as I mentioned earlier, the year is coming very quickly to an end, and temperatures, of course, are dropping rather rapidly, even here in Florida, in the northwest part of Florida today. I think the high was, they said it was about 55, but I can tell you from what it said in my car on the outside was about 49. So with that wind, I'm sure it dropped it a few degrees. But a little cool, but nevertheless, for the most part, it's usually pretty sunny and warm down here in the southeastern part of the United States. So for you northerners out there looking for a place to venture on, make sure you come down and make sure you pick up a copy of Jonathan's guide, the South Coast Golf Guide. And you can do that really a number of ways. If you're down here already, you can visit most of your local golf courses, carry it. A lot of the condos and some of the resorts in the area, of course, carry copies as well. And as I mentioned, most of the golf courses. But if you're not down here yet and you're planning a trip, maybe the next few months, if you're planning on coming down here through the winter months and you want to get an idea of some great courses, maybe it's the first time in this area for you, and you want to find out some great golfing venues, if you will, you can go to southcoastgolfguide.com, and Jonathan has a way there that you can actually request a copy be sent to you if you're not down here as of yet, and that'll give you an opportunity to sort of peruse through the guides. A lot of great, I think there's roughly, don't quote me on this, but I think there's roughly about 100 or so plus courses in the guide, as I said, ranging through several states, from Texas right over through Mississippi, Louisiana, of course, Alabama, and here in Florida. So a lot of great courses here to choose from. So depending on where you're going, you might be able to venture out. Usually within about an hour, you're going to hit quite a few golf courses. So pretty much in any direction, you're going to find some great golf opportunities. And you can pick that up, of course, in Jonathan's guide. And again, you can visit at southcoastgolfguide.com. And for those of you that maybe are in the golf business and are looking, or even in some of the local businesses, if you're looking at maybe some advertising opportunities, Jonathan certainly has a well-established guide. It's been out for, I believe this was his 20th year that he was celebrating. I believe it was this year. And so it's well-established publication. It's a great pocket guide, very, very handy, not a full-sized magazine, so it's very convenient to carry around with you. So a lot of people like to get a hold of that, and it's a great opportunity for advertising as well. So if any of you are out there that are listening in the golf business, maybe you're looking to do some advertising in this area, a great guide, very reasonable rates. You can get in touch with Jonathan at jonathan@southcoastgolfguide.com. That's jonathan@southcoastgolfguide.com. That's his email. And you can also, I'm sure, get through message through him through his website at southcoastgolfguide.com. As I mentioned, just waiting here for Craig Hanlin to contact the program. He should be calling in here in just a few moments. So bear with me, and we'll get the show started here as soon as he comes on board. As I said, a lot of great golf courses. I've actually played. Let me just tell you a little bit about some of my experiences at the Hombre. We'll certainly embellish a little bit when Craig comes on. But the Hombre actually has 3 sets of 9, notably named the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I can honestly say that particularly the bad and the ugly live up to their names. And some great golf holes there. Very, very tight in some areas. Certainly some water on the course as well to be careful of, and some very strategically placed bunkers that you have to be mindful of. But certainly a very fair course, but can also be very challenging too for some of the higher handicappers. If they're not careful. So you want to make sure that you kind of keep your wits about you when you're going around. But you should that with really any golf course that you're playing. But Hombre has a lot of great features, and as I said, when Craig comes on here, we'll talk a little bit more in detail about that. And it's also hosted for many years the Stage 2 qualifying for those that are seeking their tour cards, and I believe now it's linked with the web.com, and I'll get that verified when Craig, as I said, comes on the program. But a lot of great young men, particularly that are trying to aspire to be touring professionals, have gone through the Hombre, and actually very notable player that you might remember. He won Masters a few years back. Mike Weir from Canada actually has played on the Hombre when he was going through for his qualification. So certainly some well-known names coming through the course. Just located in Panama City Beach, Florida, as I said, and very conveniently located, very easily accessible to a lot of great shopping, a lot of great dining, and of course literally a stone's throw away from the Gulf of Mexico, for those of you that like to do a little beach surfing and a little beach lounging or what have you. Very close to that as well. So a lot of great things to do here in the area, but most notably, of course, is some great golf at the Hombre. And I've had some good, bad, and ugly experiences at the Hombre myself. I've had some great rounds I've played there over the time that I've been here, and had some not so great rounds as well. So it certainly presents a challenge for all levels of golfer, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then, as I mentioned, later in the program, we'll be joined by David Grove and Jeff Ritter from Mobiplex, talking about the Mobicoach system. And I believe I have Craig here, so let me just get things going here and bring him on board, and we'll talk to him a little bit about the Hombre. Let me just mention this first, though. If you're thinking of taking a trip here to the Emerald Coast, then you might definitely want to keep Panama City Beach, Florida in your sights. As I said, in addition to some of the world's most beautiful beaches, there's some world-class shopping and dining, of course, in the area. And it certainly boasts some of the best golf in the area as well, much like here at the Hombre, which is, as I mentioned, hosted the Stage 2 qualifying for several years now. And as I said, we'll get Craig to talk a little bit more about that. And he's here tonight to talk about the Hombre. So without further ado, let me bring on Craig Hanlin. Good evening, Craig. Welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Ted, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for joining me on the program tonight.
Yes, sir. How's everything going?
Always, hey, when you're a stone's throw from the Gulf of Mexico and some beautiful weather that we have down here in Panama City Beach, Florida, you really can't complain, can you?
No, we generally have some very good weather. Golf weather. Every day's golf weather.
Yeah, exactly. Craig, I talked a little bit about. Obviously, I didn't want to give too much away until you came on board here, but talked a little bit about the Hombre. Of course, I've played it a number of times, and mentioned some of the things that have gone on at the Hombre. For instance, the Stage 2 qualifying for some of those that are pursuing their cards, and we'll talk about that in a moment here. But I always like to start out when I have somebody coming on the program, especially a professional such as yourself. Maybe just tell the audience here just a little bit about how you got started in golf and sort of what led you to become a professional.
Well, getting started in golf, I just happened to get started in Biloxi, Mississippi over at Sunkist Country Club, and I happened to be over there with a friend just kind of hanging out around the 10th hole in their backyard, and guys pulled up that knew him and said, hey, you want to drive our golf cars? And you're sitting there about 12 years old, say, hey, driving a golf car, that's pretty cool. So we hopped in and started driving the golf cars, and hey, you want to hit a ball? And gave us a ball and a club. And the moment I hit it, I said, that's about the coolest thing. And I knew that golf was it. I mean, I knew it. And as far as becoming a PGA golf professional, of course, everybody that plays golf will probably want to be a PGA Tour professional, and once
right.
I kind of figured out that wasn't going to happen unless I got a lot of help and didn't have to have a job, that for me to stay involved in the game that I love, and I just would have to go the PGA club professional route, which is very rewarding. So that's kind of the short route to,
how things
come.
How things came about.
Yes.
Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, Craig. It's true. When people certainly hear the three letters PGA, the first thing they think about, of course, is the tour. But there's, literally thousands of members of club professionals out there in the PGA, and such as yourself, and they do a lot of great work throughout the industry and trying to help some of the average golfers out there with their games. And I just like to, sort of start things off and get some sort of little background on some of the guests that have come on here, just to let the audience know. And obviously, of course, we're live on the air, literally around the globe. We have people from virtually every walk of life, and we also have a lot of club professionals and teachers and coaches that tune into the program every week as well. So it's kind of nice to share some background with your fellow compadres, if you will, in the industry. So thank you for sharing that. Craig, let's talk. Of course, I talked generally just a little bit about the Hombre, but I wanted to have you come on here and talk about it. It's a great course, and as I mentioned, it has 3 nines, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's talk about first really both sides of the golfing experience. For some of our less experienced golfers or high handicap golfers, how do you sort of utilize the course to sort of make it a pleasurable experience for them?
Well, you can kind of feel, a player out either at the counter or over the telephone. And as far as having the 3 nines, we generally route the play where the bad and the ugly is the 18-hole course and the good is the 9-hole course. And just depending, some of them will tell you straight up, hey, I'm not very good. I don't want to play a difficult golf course. And we'll explain the good to them, where the good 9 has more room to land the golf ball. It's more player, friendly, more user friendly. It's not overly long, but the 9th hole that you finish on is almost a 600-yard par 5. So you can end on a long hole. The bad and the ugly, of course, that's the marquee course. That's what the PGA Tour qualifying school has used for roughly 20-plus years. And that golf course, it is a challenge. Obviously, having the tour there for that long does, say something about the challenge that it does offer the players. So if you get it going, sideways, so to speak, on the bad and the ugly, you can, score a high number. But your ball flight, your shot curvature, and you can aim up for it. And you hit the fairways and greens. It's a fun golf course. And if you decide that you want to play the bad and the ugly, and you might not yet be that accomplished player, but you still want to experience that marquee course, we'll try to suggest a set of tees, a length of the course to try to help you have a good time.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. Really, I think a lot of people, especially in everybody's sort of hectic life today, everybody sort of got busy, that I think sometimes we forget to have fun, and that's really what you want to, and we'll talk about that in a few moments, but in a little bit more detail. But really what you want when somebody's coming to your facility is you want to make sure, first and foremost, that they have a good experience and that they're having fun. So obviously you're going to do what you can on your end to sort of, as you said, guide them in the right direction. And make sure that they're going to have a pleasurable experience, and that helps with having multiple sets of tees, of course, to make it, and obviously, as you say, maybe steering them towards the good 9 there. And let me just correct this for just a second, just so that people that are tuning in understand. When I say the good 9, I'm referring to the name of the 9. It doesn't mean all 3 sets of 9 are good. Just they're appropriately named based really on their difficulty, I would say, is probably the best way to put it. So they're all 3 9s are good, but as you said, the bad and the ugly have sort of hosted for a lot of the guys pursuing their tour cards. So it's set up, and it certainly could present a challenge.
Yes, I mean it is the good, the bad, the ugly. The movie, Clint Eastwood. Our owner has a love for that movie, and the bad Hombre tees, the black tees, the tour tees. That's kind of where it came from. Yeah, and I actually it can be bad, and it can get ugly. Like I said, if you get it going sideways out there, and you're playing the bad Hombre tees, you're in for an experience. But if you play the appropriate set of tees, I mean, you have a very good chance of having a really good time. You just need to know, where you belong, so to speak, and which set
Right.
of tees you want to bite off.
Right, exactly. Now, obviously, there's some of the more experienced players are going to come, and obviously, again, fluctuating with the tees a little bit can help that. But tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that some of the better players are going to face going around the Hombre.
Well, it's almost you approach the Hombre from what do I want to hit into the green.
Yeah.
And it's not, how far am I going to hit it off the tee, and then I'm just going to figure out, well, what do I have left to hit onto the green. It's what do I want to hit into the green. It's kind of a shot maker's golf course. You want to navigate it. You don't want to, the risk reward. You want to, play to your strength. And then once you get on the greens, the greens, they can propose a challenge. And the course is not overly long, but if you're not hitting the shots that you think you're hitting off the tees, you can find trouble where you're going to have to either punch out or lay up and try to make par the hard way.
Yeah, and it is as difficult as it can be at times, it certainly is a very forgiving, as well. The way the course is laid out, there are, as you say, opportunities to bail out if need be, for even some of the more seasoned golfers out there. And I think it's really, as you say, risk reward, and you really have to know your game. But it really presents challenges, and obviously you have some water holes there as well for those that like skipping their ball across the pond, so to speak. But you've got that challenge there as well, There
are multiple force carries. I mean, there's water that comes in to play on just about every hole on the bad and the ugly. About every hole. There's a couple holes that don't, but yes. I mean, so number 2 at the Hombre, that's a very long par 4, and if you're going into that. On your second shot, you could be hitting a 3-iron into the wind, over water. So that might not be the most fun thing to do, but depending on your tee shot. So there are, that golf course, it does have its defense. The wind, if the wind's blowing, it's definitely tougher, to score on that golf course on a windy day.
Yeah, and there's also with some of the advancement with technology, of course, now you've got many options for hybrids as well. So for those that maybe are a little bit skittish about hitting some of the longer irons, they've got now virtually every imaginable scenario of hybrid out there that you can also use as well to maybe get it and play properly. And I think a lot of especially some of the amateur golfers out there are a little more comfortable hitting a hybrid now than they were some of the 3-irons. And you don't really see too many 2-irons. You definitely don't see any 1-irons anymore either. It's pretty much all hybrids. Exactly. I mean, I don't know too many. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say very true. Like I said, if you're talking about more of the seasoned player and the better player, those are the ones that will tend to try to, maybe want to go back and play those black tees, where you definitely see more of the mid-upper single-digit handicap or the double-digit handicap players who are playing, more of the white tee, and
right.
They're not having to, hit some of the longer irons or the hybrids in. So the golf course offers up an opportunity for them to score.
Now, obviously, the Hombre has a great practice area as well. We've got a practice green and a great driving area as well for working on your game before you get out on that round or even in between rounds. So there's a lot of great things. Tell us a little bit about some of the approach that you do to try and help some of those players out there. They're looking to, in other words, what advice would you give to those maybe just starting out? Maybe play a few rounds, but not a lot. What are some of the things that they can do, and how can you help them there at the Hombre?
Well, if I was just going to talk to a player about game improvement or what have you, I would definitely stress proper alignment, grip and posture, and then immediately send them down to see Adam Brack at the other end of our practice facility. He's our director of instruction. That's all he does. He does it all day, every day, and he does a very good job at it. He knows what he's doing, has a very good clientele base. So we send. He is our director of instruction. But,
right.
Like I said, if I was just sitting there talking at the counter with someone, and as you normally do, and they're talking about how I slice this, or I'm hooking that, or I just can't seem, to get the ball going where I'm wanting to go, a lot of times it comes straight back to alignment, and someone thinks they're aimed one place and they're actually aimed another.
Right.
It's hard to hit it if you can't aim at it. But we send them back to Adam and let Adam straighten them out.
Yeah, and that's really the direction I was going. Now, obviously, you I'm assuming offer some programs or clinics. Imagine Adam has some things going on here periodically throughout the year that people can partake in, and obviously they can get in touch through the Hombre to find more about that. What about any special tournaments or maybe whether it be for fundraising or otherwise? And we'll talk about the qualifying here in just a second, but that come up maybe on an annual basis, some special events that come up at the Hombre.
Well, we have definitely some special events, but we do corporate outings, we do charity events, we do Florida State Golf Association qualifiers. We'll actually be in August hosting the qualifying for the Senior Open. We have our member events, of course, interclub events. We just finished up the NCCAA National Championship. That's the National Christian Collegiate Athletic Association for the men and women. So their national championship is held there at the Hombre for multiple years, and hopefully multiple years to come. And then, of course, the PGA Tour, web.com, Q School.
Right, exactly. And let's talk about that a little bit. That, as you mentioned, of course, the Stage 2 qualifying has been at the Hombre for many years. What are some of the things that you do to set up? What changes do you do, if any, to set up and make ready for that when that's coming to the Hombre?
Well, this time of year, the grass starts to slow down in its growth, so there's not a lot that we really need to do to get the golf course, so to speak, in shape. The tour, PGA Tour, the web.com tour, the officials would like to see the greens running, right around 10, and that's easily done. Like I said, this time of year, the moisture in the air is getting a little less. It's getting a little cooler. The grass lays down. We will roll the greens to assist in that, but we've already got the Hombre greens to 10, easily. As far as the rough height, some tournaments you see where they have extreme rough, it's 2, 3, 4 inches. Generally, they whatever your rough height is, they're basically satisfied with it as long as you're not cutting it a week prior to their arrival. And they're going to be arriving on Sunday to start their practice rounds this Sunday, November the 16th.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. I was going to ask when is. Go ahead. Yeah.
We try to, of course, keep the golf course in that kind of shape year round. So when things are going well, there's not a lot that needs to be done to get it there. And some people might not realize that every tournament that they see on TV where the tour is visiting that site, when the tournament leaves, that golf course has to recover because they're putting it under a serious stress to get it to that level. So it's difficult to keep a golf course to tour conditions, so to speak, year round. That's very, very difficult. It takes time to get the golf course in that shape, and then once you finish that tournament, they have to let it recover. But like I said, this time of year, our green speeds, there's not a lot that we really need to do because of the grass is not growing as much. So it's laying down nicely, and we're rolling it, and the green speeds are going to easily be 10.
Yeah, and obviously we get a lot of seasonal, as we call them, snowbirds coming down to the area. That some obviously live in the community that is throughout the property and that, and I'm sure many members and so forth. But obviously it's a great facility. I'm familiar with it myself. Of course, I've played many times and quite often come up and use the practice facility there. It's certainly first class and very conveniently located, pretty much central in the beach area. Just off of 98 there, which is referred to as Back Beach Road, of course. very close to the golf, and of course with some of the new additions along the beach there, Pier Park being one, and a lot of great shopping and certainly some great local dining and that. So there's a lot of things to do in the area. So obviously for people that want to come down to the Panama City Beach area, there's not just the great golf, but there's some other things to do as well. So it's a great place, as I know, Craig, you know, from being here to come and visit and do it. But obviously you want to try and steer them out there. So I guess my closing question, Craig, is this: for those visiting the Panama City Beach area, what would you like them to take away from playing the Hombre? What sort of experience would you like them to have taken away?
Well, you just want them to have memories. We're all about building a lifelong customer, and by creating the lifelong memory, you want them walking away just saying, I had a really good time. Hey, I played a golf course where people are coming out trying to, qualify for the tour. They feel like they're, somewhere special, somewhere that just not any golf course you play is a course that the tour has selected. So just having them leave with memories through, quality product and definitely, quality customer and guest and member service.
Yeah, exactly. And as I said, the Hombre certainly is first class and provides a lot of opportunities for all skill levels, really, of golfers. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, there's a lot of other great things in the area to get people down to the area while they're visiting, and certainly want to send them over to Hombre. If anybody's interested in getting more information with respect to that, obviously I know you have a website and that. How can they get in touch either with the club or with, if they're interested, maybe some lessons or helping to improve their game? Maybe you can give us some information on that.
HombreGolfClub.com. We have an app. You can go to your iPhone, your Android Play Store, and download the Hombre app. You can call 850-234-3673. Those are probably the quickest ways to get a hold of us and get any of your questions answered. Fantastic.
Well, Craig, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit about the Hombre Golf Club. Certainly, as I said, it's a great facility, and you guys do a first-class job at taking care of those coming to play. And the course is always in phenomenal shape. Even when we get some bad weather blowing in from the Gulf once in a while, you guys always manage to turn it around very quickly and get the golfers back out in the course. So kudos to you and the rest of the staff there at the Hombre, and thanks for coming on tonight and sharing it with my audience.
Well, we thoroughly appreciate that, and thank you.
Not a problem. Craig, you have a great rest of the evening and great weekend, and I hope you'll come back and visit us again.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thank you very much, Craig. All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, that was Craig Hanlin, of course, the PGA General Manager of the Hombre Golf Club in Panama City Beach, Florida. And it truly is a great facility and great staff there. And there's just, you have to experience it yourself. I mean, there's really, only so much that we can really explain to you here, but it's one of the many courses, of course, featured in South Coast Golf Guide that, as I mentioned earlier, that Jonathan Laird published, and it's certainly a first-class facility, and definitely want to check it out when you're coming down to the Panama City Beach area. And, of course, with the new airport that opened up here, I believe it was the year before last, some great flight opportunities to coming in a little easier to get to Panama City Beach, not as much rerouting through some of your other airports. It was officially made an international airport just a few years ago, and built a new one just outside of the main area, just probably with about 15 minutes maybe or so drive into Panama City Beach area. And of course the Hombre is right there pretty much when you come into the area, so I certainly can't miss it. But a lot of great golf and a lot of great things to do in the Panama City Beach area. So if you're planning on a trip, as I mentioned earlier, make sure that you pick up a copy of Jonathan's South Coast Golf Guide, and you'll find some great courses like the Hombre. And as Craig had mentioned, you can go to their website, hombregolfclub.com, and you can search around them. There's an app available, of course, for iPhone and for Android that you can get as well. You can download, and I believe he had mentioned you can also book tee times through it as well. So definitely want to get that and keep that handy. It's a great facility. Great practice facility. I've used it many times myself, and always enjoy playing there. As I said, I've had a few good, few bad, and few ugly rounds over the years, but certainly a great facility. Just going to take a couple of minutes here, and just to remind everybody as I wait for my next guests to come on board here, David Grove and Jeff Ritter, of course, going to be joining me here from Mobiplex. We're going to talk for the next probably the next hour, I guess. We're going to talk about Mobicoach, a new system out there that is going to help. So for you coaches and instructors and teachers out there that are tuning into the program, you definitely want to stick close to the program here in the next few minutes when we bring them on board. And we're going to talk at length really about it. And I think it's a great opportunity for those of you that in the teaching professional especially, but also for you out there that are playing that want to have a new experience and a better experience learning the game of golf for some professionals. And we'll talk a little bit more in detail when the two of them come back on board here. But in the meantime, let me just remind everybody, of course, the program is live every Thursday evening, unless otherwise state at blogtalkradio.com, and you can just go up into the search key and type in Golf Talk Live. And the program airs from normally from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time for those of you on the East Coast. If you want to speak to either myself or any of my guests during the broadcast, during the live broadcast, of course, you can do so by calling in area code 646-716-4667. That's 646-716-4667. Or you can email any questions or comments during the program or after the program to ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. That's ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And to get updates for the show on social media, you can follow on Facebook at facebook.com/golftalkliveblog. And while you're on the page there, you'll see updates for the program, who's been on and who's up and coming. And make sure while you're there, make sure that you like the page as well. I appreciate all of you so far that have been following. And you'll obviously, once you like the page, of course, any updates come on, you'll get notified of that. And make sure that you follow me on Twitter. And that's Twitter handle, of course, is Ted and Buck CEO. And if you haven't done so yet, I appreciate it. And thanks for all the new followers that have come on board recently. Appreciate your support of the program and for following as well. And the Twitter handle, again, of course, is Ted and Buck CEO. CEO is in cap letters, of course. Rest in lowercase. And also, again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, I'm making some changes here slowly but surely to the website, but there's still some information on it, some great books and some great products of some individuals that have come on the program over the last couple of years, and you can do so at the website at www.golftalkliveblog.com. Make sure that you go and check on that as well. And I noticed the other day I was trying to make an update. I'm not sure what happened, but the Blog Talk Radio player, which was under the Listen Now tab key, for some reason is not linking properly. I know that Blog Talk Radio had made some changes to their format, so I'm not sure if there's a technical glitch there, but I'm working on that, trying to get that back up. I know a lot of people were, while they were surfing on the Golf Talk Live website, we're actually tuning in through the website. There's a link there, and they could actually go in and not only get tapped into the live broadcast, but they could also listen to some of the previous broadcasts. Let me just mention to you about that as well, for those of you that may be just tuning in for the first time. Of course, as I said, the show is live every Thursday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. However, during the broadcast, it is auto-recorded. So if for some reason you can't join us for the live broadcast, you can tune in any time afterwards, usually within a few minutes of the broadcast ending, and it will load up the recorded version. So you can go in. You won't be able to obviously call into the program at that time because it will no longer be live, but you can listen to the program in its entirety. And also, you can go in and listen to previously recorded programs. For instance, if you go to blogtalkradio.com/golftalklive and scroll down at any time, morning, noon, or night, and you'll see an on-demand section. In that on-demand section, of course, it will go from the most current programs down to the older programs. And you can just scroll through, and if there's some on there that maybe pique your interest that you haven't had the pleasure of listening to, there's some great guests that have been on the program, a lot of great teacher professionals, and coaches. For those of you that are familiar, maybe a little more seasoned in your years like me, and remember a great player by the name of Billy Casper, who, of course, was a phenomenal player, played primarily during the Nicklaus and Palmer and Trevino and player era. Was ranked, I believe, number 5th overall, or might have been number 7th. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was in around that in that area. But overall, during that time frame, Mr. Billy Casper was on back in 2013, I believe. Don't quote me, but I believe it was in November. So scroll down through the on-demand section, and you can see that recording there and listen to it. It was great. He was on for the whole program. Had a number of listeners tune in and actually call into the program, and Billy certainly enjoyed that. Of course, Billy Casper is in his early 80s and has been around in the golf business for a long time, has his own several businesses in golf, and builds a lot of courses and does a lot of charity work. And he has a tournament that I believe comes up in May for Billy's Kids, which is his foundation and charity that he supports wholeheartedly and helping a lot of youth out there, and has been doing that for a number of years. So his tournament and I believe is in May every year in San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. I'll try to get the information. Actually, I'm going to make mention that in the new year again, and get people to throw some support their way. Billy Casper is a great guy. So if you didn't get a chance to hear the original broadcast, by all means go back in through the on-demand section at blogtalkradio.com and under Golf Talk Live, and you can listen to that interview in its entirety. And he was actually on for the whole program. He was on for pretty much the whole 2-hour program. And just a wonderful guy, and shared some great stories, some great history on the game, and just a little bit about Billy Casper himself, and it was just a real pleasure to interview. Very grateful and feel very honored to have had him on the show, especially for that length of time. So it's not always easy to get people to give up that much of their time, but he was very gracious, and certainly felt very honored to have him do that. And I know that the listeners tuning in, that especially the ones that called in, certainly enjoyed talking to Billy, and I know that he was certainly very humbled by it, and just a really great guy, and I'm going to try and get him back on for 2015, and maybe see if I can get him on just before his tournament, so we can do a quick plug here and that. But great guy. So lots of great guests on there. Barry Goldstein, of course, has been on the show with his daughter Carly Rae Goldstein, who of course is at LSU. Playing on the women's golf team, and this is her second year at LSU. And I understand just recently they actually did extremely well. I don't have all the information in front of me, unfortunately, but to give you all the specific details. But I know that the LSU women's team did very well, I believe, this year overall. So anyways, lots of great things happening there. And Barry was on, another great guy that's been in the profession for a number of years. And of course, he goes back and forth between, I believe it's Binghamton, New York, and down in, I believe, the Fort Lauderdale area in Florida during the cooler months. He goes back and forth and helps a lot of people out there that need help with their game. And Barry's just a great guy, a lot of fun, a lot of excitement when he's on the program. Everybody just enjoys listening to Barry. He's just got a lot of energy, and I find it hard-pressed to find a better dad out there to his 2 girls, Aubrey and Carly Rae. Just very supportive to both young ladies, and they're just a pleasure to speak with. And as I said, I've had Carly Rae on the show a couple of times now with her father, and we'll have them back many times. But Barry's just a great guy. Chat with him quite frequently through some of the different social media, Facebook particularly, but I've had the pleasure of interviewing him as well, and just a great guy, very knowledgeable and very well liked in the industry. So a lot of great people in there. Too many to list them all, but go through the on-demand section, scroll down, and either listen to maybe had a favorite in there, or maybe some that you haven't listened to. Make sure you do that and check it out. And lots of great things coming up in the next year as well. Going to have some more great guests on there. Going to have some that have been on the program before. Going to have them come back. And I know I've had a few people ask me about the Coach's Corner. I haven't done one of those for a little while, and mainly because I'm going to revamp it a little bit and make some changes to it. Certainly was very successful, very well received. but I think we can do a little bit better here on the program than what we did, and I'm certainly happy with it. Don't get me wrong, but I think we can even make it even that much better. And I know that the teaching professionals that joined in on that, I want to thank all of you guys very much for all of your support. I know that you're giving up a lot of your family time and private time to come on the program and join in on that. Had certainly a lot of fun. I think everybody's enjoyed it. And I'm going to be sending out here in the next week or so, I'm going to be sending out the 2015 schedule for those that want to jump on board again. And as I said, we're going to be doing some a little bit slightly different format for the program, but we're going to have some of the great teacher professionals coming on board for Coach's Corner. And I got to confess, I kind of borrowed that idea from, I think I mentioned this on an earlier broadcast, I think the first year I was on, but this was something that actually I took from a segment called Coach's Corner, but a different sport. It was actually hockey, and there was a gentleman up in Canada, Don Cherry, who for many, many years had a program called Coach's Corner, and of course he was talking about hockey, and I thought, what a great way to utilize this in the golf here, and as I said, it's worked out very, very well, but anyways, I think what we're going to do here is, it looks like I've got one of the gentlemen here ready to go, and by the looks of things, I'm going to hazard a guess to say it's probably David. So let me just do a quick introduction here, and then I will bring David on board, and hopefully Jeff will be joining us here shortly. As I mentioned, David Grove, of course, he's the VP of Business Development for Mobiplex Inc., and David brings certainly a wealth of consumer-oriented as well as industry-based operational and strategic knowledge to Mobiplex. David, of course, has more than 10 years of experience in the sports and fitness and wellness sectors, and was most recently the president and CEO of ThinkFit Incorporated. Mr. Grove, of course, has a strong passion for building and growing relationships, and is a strong addition to the team there at Mobiplex, and holds an engineering degree from Oregon State U and also an MBA degree from University of Oregon as well. So let me bring on David as well, but also let me bring on Jeff Ritter. He's the VP Sports and Fitness at Mobiplex, and Jeff Ritter, of course, is the VP of Sports and Fitness at Mobiplex Inc., as well as the CEO and founder of MTT Performance. It's located at Poppy Hills in Pebble Beach, California, and the MTT initiative is comprised of an integrated approach to elevating one's potential through skill-based coaching, mindset, fitness, and of course, most importantly, nutrition. He's a consistent presence in the golf media. Of course, many of his lessons have been featured in some great publications like Golf Digest magazine, Golf Tips magazine, and of course, Golf Punk magazine in the UK. He's also been seen and heard many times on some great networks like ESPN, Fox Sports, and Fox Sports Radio, Sirius XM Radio, and of course on the Golf Channel. And in 2010, Jeff was named by Golf Digest as one of the best young teachers in America. And without further hesitation, let me bring both David and Jeff to the program. Gentlemen, welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Not a
Ted,
problem.
how are you?
I'm not too bad. That sounds like Jeff. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing fantastic. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much for taking some time this evening and coming on here and talking about Mobicoach. Guys, let me just I've done a sort of a brief intro and let the audience know a little bit about each of you in that. But David, I'm going to start with you. Just talk a little bit maybe more about how sort of things came about with your involvement with Mobiplex, and then Jeff, I want to jump to you and let you talk a little bit more about your end of things. David, if you want to go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, as you mentioned, I was the president and CEO of a small fitness equipment company called ThinkFit, and was doing that for a while. And we ended up, we're lucky enough to be acquired by a larger company in the industry. And the CEO of Mobiplex I've known for a while, and I, had heard that he's doing some interesting things in the golf as well as sort of the sports and fitness space. And it sounded like there was a lot of potential in what they were doing here, and with some of the other folks that were on board, like Jeff and some of the other folks here on the team, it seemed like a great thing to be involved with. And since I've been here, I've been with the company about a year now, and just what we've been able to accomplish in the last year has been awe-inspiring. I mean, we've done a lot of things and brought some really cool technologies to market, and we're obviously very excited about Mobicoach and the opportunity that provides coaches to interact with their students. And it's something obviously that we'll be talking about tonight.
Sure. And Jeff, obviously, as I mentioned in your intro, obviously you're a great professional in the business and do a lot of great work with all kinds of students and whatnot. But you obviously have been very well received throughout the community and very well recognized as well. So just tell us a little bit about, and we'll get into specifics about, of course, Mobicoach here in just a bit, but just a little bit more about yourself, just to let the audience, for those of you that don't know who you are, a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing.
Well, yeah, my passion is coaching golf. I've been doing it for over 20 years now. I grew up the son of a golf pro in a little town called Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but golf has always been my passion. So I've traveled throughout the country working for a lot of different, well-known people and facilities. I was with Dave Pells for a couple of years and with the Golf Digest schools for a number of years, and then the last 3 or 4 years, I've been national director of Nike golf schools and junior camps, and it's taken me all over the world. And it's just been great to be able to be part of such a great industry where your job is really helping people smile more and have more fun. And I really mean that, because when you connect with someone on the golf course, it's the recreation in most cases, and it's up to you to be able to help deliver a plan that makes something that's inherently complex become simple and doable, and to be part of that journey where you can activate and inspire people towards achievement is a great thing. So I've been very lucky to do a lot of things in the industry, and we've got some big things that we're trying to put together down here in Pebble Beach. I was in Phoenix, Arizona for 15 years. And my wife and I decided that we were going to make a dash for the coast. We were spending our summers running programs for Nike and Pebble, and every year at the end of the season, we would get in the car and we would point our car back to Arizona, which is a great place. But my wife, being from California, she had tears in her eyes, and I think our dog had tears in her eyes too. And I said, well, if we're going to do it, let's do it now. So Poppy Hills, which is a great facility owned and operated by the Northern California Golf Association. They went through a major renovation. They spent about $13 million really trying to do some special things with that property, and it just was perfect timing. So we connected with them, and there we are. We've been here for 6 months, and as it relates to Mobicoach, I was an ambassador for the company the last couple of years on a couple of different products, and of course I was located in Phoenix, and my time was limited. Being able to spend time with the company, but when the company realized that I was going to be just an hour away from our headquarters in San Jose, they started to engage me on a more regular basis. I started traveling there multiple times a week, and we just really got into it. And everything from what the company stood for, what the product stood for, what we were trying to really do for coaches and clients kind of came together, and here we are with this new role as Vice President of Sports and Fitness, which is really just all about being that connecting point to the coaching side of the industry, and also being that connecting point to the consumer side of the industry from my experience in the past.
Right, exactly. And just on a personal note, Jeff, it's pretty safe to say that your wife won that decision on whether to stay in Arizona or whether to go to California. Yeah,
they always win,
Exactly. It's but obviously it's good for all of you all the way around. Good for you and good for her, of course, but also good for the folks in California. They've got a top-notch guy in what you do, and I'm sure they're very blessed at Poppy Hills to have you there. Guys, let's do this. And here's how I thought of doing things tonight. I know there's a lot of things that we can cover, and certainly can't get into everything here. And obviously, because of the format, it's a little bit different, or a little bit difficult, not having the visual component here. But what I thought we would do is, David, I'd kind of like to start with you and maybe just explain a little bit about, for those, again, that are maybe tuning in here that aren't familiar with what Mobicoach is. Maybe you can explain a little bit about that. We'll go through a few questions on that. And then, Jeff, what I thought we would do is maybe you can talk a little bit on how you're utilizing it and some of the benefits, because in addition to some of the average golfers out there that are tuning into the program, we also have a lot of teaching professionals and coaches and that are also tuning into the program that maybe are not that familiar with Mobicoach yet, or maybe sort of on the fence and whether they want to make that transition and utilizing that in their practice and teaching arena, if you will. So if we can do that, David, maybe just tell us a little bit about Mobicoach and the concept behind it, and then Jeff, we'll get into your side of it as well.
Yeah, great.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, at its core, Mobicoach is a mobile-based platform that allows coaches and students to connect for real-time interaction, basically anytime from anywhere in the world. So anywhere, as long as you have an internet connection and a tablet, as a student, you can connect with your coach. As a coach, you can connect with your student for live interaction. And, we, as a company, originally we started out life as building a product that was more kind of in the self-help space. So we had a little golf swing analyzer that was really sort of something that you would use for that kind of the self-help side of trying to improve your golf game. And I think, what we came to the realization of is that, a self-help tool can only get you so far, and really, to take that next step and bring your game up to that next level, you really need a coach. And there's so many just wonderful coaches across the country that are experts at what they do. And I think the challenge is that a lot of people, from a geography standpoint, don't have access to, a lot of the coaches that are out there with all of this knowledge in their head. So we set out to build, this live collaboration platform that allows students and coaches to connect. So we created Mobicoach, and so I'll kind of talk about a few of the features and what makes this a little bit different than some of the other platforms that are out there today. Everybody's familiar with Skype, right? And Skype, you can see the other person on the other end, they can see you, and you can talk. And with Mobicoach, we can do a lot of the same things. We can also do a lot of other things, but just from that standpoint, the video quality and audio quality that we've built into Mobicoach creates very, 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 very clear calls and really, almost HD quality video, which is great for when you're using it in a coaching perspective. But the great thing about Mobicoach that really sets it apart is that you have the ability to coach on technique. And with with a service like just a live video service like Skype, you can demonstrate things and the student does it and then that video is gone. So in Mobicoach, the coach actually has the ability to capture video of the student taking a golf swing or doing a fitness movement or, throwing a baseball or whatever it is. But in this case, specifically taking the golf swing, the coach can capture video of that student taking the golf swing live during the session and then do a bunch of video analysis on that swing right on the screen of the student's tablet, and it's all live. So, the coach captures that video, puts that video up on the student's tablet screen, and then can draw lines, play the video frame by frame, forward and backward, and can do all of the video analysis that, that a coach is used to doing, but they can do it live while the student's watching. So the coach can do the video analysis, the student can ask questions, there can be a lot of interaction between the coach and the student and the student can still see each other the entire time. Beyond that, the coach also has the ability to take pre-recorded video. So let's say the coach has particular drills that they like their students to do, or, has pre-recorded video of maybe their own swing or a tour player swing. The coach can take that video and import that video right into the session and then review that video live with the student, talking about, you see this here and drawing that line and comparing that video against the student's swing. So the coach can import all of that pre-recorded video. At the same time, the student can import pre-recorded video as well. So maybe I, as a student, was, out at the driving range yesterday hitting balls, but my coach wasn't available to watch me right at that second. I could capture video of 10 or 15 swings, then get connected up to my coach later on and import those swings one by one into the session, and then my coach and I can have a live, real-time coaching experience while the coach is doing video analysis on those swings while I'm talking to my coach and watching. The best part about all of this is that after the live session with your coach is over, both the coach and the student can go back in and review that session and all of the video clips and all of the the whiteboarding lines and all of that stuff. The coach and the student can review those videos at any time they want in the future, as many times as they want. So, I think a lot of us, I was just talking to somebody earlier today that told me that we forget more than we learn, right? And I think, a lot of times if you're like me, 5 minutes after you get done with a coach, you forget half of what they told you. So with this ability to go back in and review that session, you never have to try to remember, what was it that my coach was telling me? What was that one drill they wanted me to do? What was that one fix they made on my swing? I can literally go right back into that Mobicoach session, next week or next month. I could pull that right back up, and I could literally rewatch and re-listen to that coach telling me exactly what it was that he wanted me to do. So it really, is a whole suite of features built into this live collaborative experience that all happens on a mobile device, so you're not tied to your computer or tied to your laptop. It really gives coaches the ability to coach students exactly like they would in person, but they can do it from anywhere in the world anytime.
Right. And Jeff, let me ask you, obviously, what David was just talking about there, and I'm sure you can concur that you're going to have students that are going to have some memory loss as time goes on, and they're going to forget maybe a lesson that you've given them or a session that you've given them last week. So this is obviously a very big tool for somebody like you, and it really poses the question is really two parts, Jeff, and I want like you to answer this from your perspective. The first part of the question is, really why should a coach care whether or not their students are dealing with them in a remote basis, and also why the students, what benefits it is to the students. And I know David touched on some of it, but maybe you could expand a little bit based on your experiences.
Well, one of the things we talk about at Mobicoach is the fact that, we're trying to create something that breaks down all the barriers to continual engagement between the coach and the student. And we all know that if we had our preference, we would all be able to go to the golf course, every Monday or Wednesday or Friday and Saturday and see our coach and work for an hour and do all the things that we want to do to be able to build our golf game. But the thing is that, not every coach has the ability to have that kind of facility to operate from. Not every student has the ability to make it, to that facility as much as they would like to. So what generally happens is that, the connecting point never really occurs as readily as it needs to be in order to build that relationship. So any student would prefer to have a lesson in person, and any coach would prefer to do that as well. But as it relates to player development, you got to build a relationship, and you got to be able to break down these walls that keep you away from your client and that keeps your client away from you. And that's the one thing that Mobicoach really does so beautifully, and it's really the next best thing to being able to physically put your hands on the player. I always like to tell David, to me it feels like I'm talking to a student through a piece of glass, and the sound is perfect, right? And the only thing I can't do is physically touch them, because I've got the ability to capture their swings live. I got the ability to see them. They can see me. They can ask questions. I can answer those questions. I can demonstrate. I can draw lines. It's all instantaneous, just as if we were right there in person. And for me, one of the things that was asked of me when I first started engaging with the company was, how many online lessons do I give? And I said, I don't give that many, but I'd like to, and I have a lot of clients who would like them as well. And the reason that we don't do it is because the process in its current state, it's too clumsy and it's too cumbersome. So the student has to be able to record their swing, and then they have to be savvy enough to know how to upload it and make sure that it's, potentially uploaded in the proper format. And then someone else has to receive it. And then, there's this sort of level of trust that in like 5 to 7 days they'll get something back, and maybe it's a 5-minute voiceover or 10-minute voiceover. But then they can't ask any questions. So then they send the coach, this long email of all these questions they have, and then the coach has to either get on the phone. So it just becomes this long, drawn-out process that, really doesn't serve the coach in their time well based on their business model, and it really doesn't serve the student well from a learning experience, because they really can't communicate the way they would in a regular lesson. So it's surprising. It's taken this long for someone to crack the code and to be able to create a technology that's efficient and seamless enough that makes it worthwhile. And when I first got on with Mobicoach 1.0, so right now we're on Mobicoach 2.0, which is fantastic. We're going to be launching a 3.0 version that Dave can talk more about. But 1.0, was very rudimentary compared to what we had with 2.0. And I was getting on calls with people that I never met, that the company was setting up, investment bankers in San Francisco and doctors and lawyers in Florida, and just saying, hey, I want you to go ahead and give this person a lesson. And at first I was like, well, oh no, how is this going to work? And every single time, I enjoyed the process. The student enjoyed the process. They were getting better. And these are people that I've never even, even coached before. So once Mobicoach 2.0 came out and we added all this amazing functionality, now for me, it's all about reaching out to all the people that I used to coach, that I had this relationship with that I really would love to continue, but because I moved away, they felt like they couldn't stay connected with me. So I literally went through my Rolodex and I just picked out all my favorite clients, and I said, I have something I want to show you. All you need to do is download this app. Let's get on a call for just 15 minutes. You just go ahead and sit on your couch. If you got some video that recorded your golf swing tablet, that'd be great. And within 5 minutes, we're enjoying talking to each other. Within 10 minutes, we forget that the technology even exists, and then all of a sudden we're getting down to business, which is helping them with their golf game. And to every one of them at the end of that session was asking me the question, how do we do this again? How do we do this on a regular basis? And now, I've got, a girl who just signed her letter of intent down in Orlando. She's a great junior player, and I coach her weekly, via Mobicoach, and she keeps getting better. And sometimes she's hitting balls live on the practice tee. Sometimes she records video during the week, and we sit down, and her mom and dad pop over her shoulder, and I see the whole family, through the tablet. And it's just one of those things. It's just where technology is going, and we're excited to be at the forefront of this in the sporting and learning industry. But the technology is going to keep getting better. The products will keep getting better. I think that everyone understands it's something that we'd like to be doing, but now we're actually doing it. And I'm excited that it's working, and it's working well for me and my clients as well.
One point to add to that real quick is, one of the anecdotes that we like to talk about is, 15 or 20 years ago, you would never think about going to the store, going online to buy a pair of jeans, right, that you couldn't feel and touch and try on and do all that. It would be crazy. But now, people don't think twice about going on Amazon and buying, everything under the sun. So, it's interesting how, technology evolves and that starts to evolve the way people do things. And, we feel pretty strongly that, people are going to start, seeing the opportunity to do things remotely from a convenience factor and from a geography standpoint and from a time standpoint. And that's really going to continue to grow and get more popular as time goes on.
I'm sorry. I was going to say one more thing is that, I think that when it comes down to, your existing clients, right, or an existing coach that you're working with, it's just all about being able to connect with them on a more regular basis. Not every lesson has to be an hour long. I've had clients that said, hey, can we spend 15 minutes? I just want you to look at, what I've been doing, in the last week since our last session just to make sure I'm on the right track. And now we can communicate, and I can give them a thumbs up, or I can go ahead and give them a new drill or a new idea, and it just makes their time away from me, so much more effective because, sometimes as a coach, you make these changes with a student, and when you're with them, you're kind of leading them through the forest. That's what I would say. It's like, every student, they've got this certain comfort level of where they are with their game, and they start to trust the coach, and you lead them through the forest, and the forest gets a little bit dark, and sometimes it gets scary, but all of a sudden, if you let the coach do his job, you come out to the other side, and you're like, wow, I'm so glad that I'm here because this is way better than where I was before. But all of a sudden, the student leaves that lesson, and they're going to lose a little bit of that learning experience just because, the coach isn't there to help them stay on point. So sometimes a student will work for, 2 weeks or 3 weeks and try and come back and show you what they've done. And sometimes they come back and they sort of, found their way down a path they shouldn't have gone because they misinterpreted something. So it really helps in that regard. And then the other thing that we talk about is just not having barriers on who you want your coach to be. I was lucky to be in a place like Phoenix, and there's a golf instructor on every street corner. They're everywhere. You run into them all day long. But
it's like Florida.
And like Florida. But for the consumers out there, the golfers out there, maybe they're not in a market that has a ton of coaching, or maybe they saw someone, in a magazine or heard of someone, that a friend of theirs went to a trip to Florida and they met this great coach, and they'd really like to have that experience, So, why should they not be able to select, who they want to learn from anytime, anywhere? So if there's a kid in the middle of the country and he goes, you know what, there's this great coach down at the David Ledbetter Academy or the Hank Haney Golf School or the Nicholas Flick Schools, and I'd really like for him or her to be my coach. And then why can't that happen? So that's what Mobicoach does. It breaks down those walls and lets people make decisions based on who they want to receive instruction from versus, the geography associated with their current situation.
And guys, it really, sort of helps in a situation that's really happened in the golf industry here in the last few years. And I'm sure, Jeff, you can identify with this. Time has really become really one of the number one issues for most people. As an example, a lot of students don't have the time to necessarily go out to the facility every week or every couple of weeks, and they may be traveling for business, or they may be on vacation. Maybe they want to play a little bit of golf and they need a little help with their game. They didn't get a chance to get a tune-up before they left. So really, Mobicoach can offer them an opportunity to really sort of tap in with their instructor or their coach, if you will, as you said, from anywhere in the world. And right now, the average golfer is looking for a way, I think, to utilize their time. I mean, rounds have, in some cases, have been down because the time restrictions on most people, just whether it be from work or other family obligations. So, doing an hour or 2 hour lesson, what have you, at a facility isn't always practical. So really what you've done is you've filled a void or a vacuum, if you will, especially with some of the younger generation that's coming up that's very, tech savvy, of course, but they don't have that time and they don't want to spend that amount of time. So really you have a lot of flexibility with this system, correct?
But yeah, I mean, I think, in the lessons that I've taken, even if I'm going to see an instructor that's, 20 minutes down the street from my house, if maybe I'm taking an hour lesson with this instructor, and by the time I get my clubs in my car, I drive all the way across town, I meet with my instructor, I get done, I clubs back in the car, I drive all the way home. An hour lesson turns into, 2 hours, 2.5 hours sometimes between travel time there and back and all of that. So, the nice thing about Mobicoach is that, an hour lesson can literally be an hour lesson or a half hour, or as Jeff said, even a quick 15-minute check-in. The check-in stuff that Jeff does with his student down in Florida, like he said, the parents are looking over her shoulder and they're sitting at the dinner table and they literally, boom, they hit join call on the iPad. They're connected up to Jeff. She plops in some videos into the session. They review them live and then they're done. And so, a short session stays a short session. It doesn't grow into a longer period of time. So I think from a convenience standpoint, it really does make things significantly more convenient and time effective.
Well, and the fact that really they can access this technology, and this is one of the beauties of technology, and Jeff, you touched, I think, on this a little bit earlier, that there's so much change going on in the world now, and golf is still a little bit, it's certainly moving in the right direction, but it is very, slow maybe compared to some of the other industries out there, but it is slowly starting to catch up. But this is really, as I'm sure you have, I've been down to the PGA show and seen a lot of interesting technology, but really nothing to the level of Mobicoach. Lots of other platforms, as you guys have mentioned, but what I most like about this, and David, you touched on this in the beginning, certainly there are other platforms like Skype and things like that, and you can certainly have chats and you can certainly demonstrate certain things, but it's very limited. What you've done with this product is you've really created a vessel that allows the coach, number one, the ability to have not only a live one-on-one with their student, but to upload not only the student's videos, but also if the coach has some swing tips or things that he or she wants their student to work on, they can upload that into the session. And once that session is over, David, as you indicated earlier, it's not lost, up in cyberspace. They now have that completed session with the video tips in there, so they can view it at a later date if their memory needs to be rejogged a little bit about things that let's say Jeff and one of his students was working on. So there's a lot of really great features to the program, and obviously I'm sure more to come. What are some of the best things, Jeff, and I'm going to go to you first here, some of the best things that you've really found using this that have helped your students? Well,
the big thing is that once you get used to it as a coach, and it just takes a few minutes, you realize that coaching is communication, and we use a lot of different ways to communicate with our clients. We use verbal cues. We use imagery. We use demonstration. We use hands-on. We use analogies. And the thing is that if you're a good coach and you're a good communicator, I mean, you're basically using Mobicoach as that tool for communicating. And the best thing is that it's better than an email. It's better than a phone call.
Sure.
And it is darn near almost as good as being there in person. And a lot of times, we have some skeptics. Some coaches, they come back and they say, well, I mean, it's not the same as being on the lesson tee. It's not the same as taking your clients out on the course. And I say, hey, I totally agree. But in the world that we live in, you want to be able to connect with your client and support your client and communicate as much as possible. So Mobicoach is just a tool that helps you, supplement, your current engagement with your students. And for the students that are out there, all they're concerned with is whether or not it works. They should just
right.
can't really learn doing this. And once they have that experience, where, how many times has someone pushed their couch aside a couple of feet and grabbed their 7-iron and watched the Golf Channel and they made a backswing. I mean, people are thinking about their game all the time. They think about it in the car and on the airplane, and they want to be inspired, they want to be entertained, and what better than to be able to connect with the person that you've entrusted your skill level and your enjoyment to be able to do that on a more regular basis in a way that is seamless and it's fun, and they feel like it really works and supports their goal of playing better golf. So it's great for both sides, but at the end of the day, it definitely works. And for the coaches out there that are skeptical, it's not meant to replace the golf course. It's not meant to replace in-person engagement. It's just meant to be able to help you build that relationship to a higher and much stronger level for as long as you want to connect with that client.
Well, and the truth of it is too, Jeff, that one of the problems that happens in too many industries, and golf is certainly not immune to this. A lot of industries are very reluctant to change, and I'm hitting the 51 mark coming up in the new year, so I'm getting at that point now where as I get older, even though I still consider myself pretty tech savvy. I don't like too much change, but I like some change. One of the things that I think that has to happen in this industry, and it is starting to happen, is that I think people within the industry need to recognize that we have to keep up with the times. As you indicated earlier, other sports, other industries are moving with the times. And the reason why that's important is as the younger generations come up, they want this technology. They're using this technology in other formats or similar technologies. And if the golf industry doesn't sort of navigate its way into that platform, then ultimately what's going to happen is people are going to lose interest. They're going to say, well, it's becoming a dinosaur. So, really what Mobicoach has done is sort of taken the game to another level, if you will, and engaged a different generation. Now, that doesn't mean some of the older folks can't, who are certainly computer savvy and whatnot, can engage as well. But in order to get the younger generation engaged, they have to find it interesting and exciting and whatnot. And this is certainly a way, I think, to engage new golfers, younger golfers that maybe have never taken up the sport. This is a way for them to sort of get introduced to it without having to make a big commitment of time and effort initially, and then they're going to want to be more involved as time goes on, because it's going to be fun, it's going to be interesting, and they're going to be engaged with, as you said, not just yourself, but maybe another teacher, professional, or coach in another state. So there's a lot of opportunities here for growth within the industry just through the product that you're sharing with us tonight.
Well, as it relates to coaches, coaches have moved pretty well with certain technologies. I think that there are things like radar systems and force plates, and if you go to some really good facilities, they've got things like TrackMan and FlightScope and SwingTIP, and all the coaches get really excited about the collecting of data as it relates to helping them coach their client. But as it relates to communicating with their client, the only way they've been able to do it is if they can stand in front of them and shake their hand and help them put a tee in the ground. So for us, the sales pitch to the coaches is that you've got this person who is obviously interested in who you are and what you have to offer, the value that you provide. Why not create an opportunity, to be able to engage more often with that person? And when you engage more often with a client, of course, you generate some more revenue. So it's supporting your ability to run a business that allows you to create a lifestyle for you and your family, right? Which is a fair thing to do. From the client side, what I tell the coaches is just, ask your client, would you like to be able to see me more often, communicate more often, and improve your game with an ongoing program that doesn't always require you to block out X number of hours in your schedule and drive across town? And I guarantee you every one of them will say yes. And as it relates to the younger generation versus the older generation, one thing that Dave always points out is the fact that almost everyone has a tablet these days. My dad's got a tablet, and he knows how to use it. And the thing is that all you have to do is download the app, and then you just have to be able to click one button that says Join Video Call. And once you do that, you could be the least tech-savvy person in the world. The coach can run the whole experience. But the tools are so simple. And I always say to my client, I'm like, you see the toolbar at the bottom? Go ahead and click on one of those drawing tools and go ahead and draw me a line. And they draw a line on the screen, and it shows up on my screen. And I go ahead and give them a little test run through a couple of things. And the moment they realize that they can, at will, click play and stop, right, and they can frame a dance, and they can import a video, it's the easiest thing in the world. And they really feel like they're empowered to be able to use the tool to its full capability. So, I've had nothing but positive responses from it, and it's just it's a great thing for both sides of the fence for sure.
Well, and the great thing is it engages the student. A lot of times some of the technology that you mentioned is really, instructor operate, even though you're doing a lot of things with this as well, but obviously some of the more advanced things, but this allows the student themselves to get engaged with that technology and utilize it. Guys, I want to, if we can, I see we have a call here, and I want to bring somebody else online. I think they want to talk a little bit about Mobicoach as well. So let's bring them into the conversation, all right?
Sure.
All right, good evening. Welcome to Golf Talk Live. Who do we have the pleasure of having join us tonight?
This is John Hughes, PGA Master Professional and Mobicoach user. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Dave. How are you guys doing tonight?
Hey, John. How are you?
Hi, Hughes. How are you?
Good.
I knew it was you, John. I was just having fun.
Well, that's the whole idea, right?
That's right. John, obviously, I know you've been tuning into the program and you've been listening to what we've been talking about so far. Jeff has very eloquently, explained some of his experience. So why don't you share with the audience as well, and we'll keep you in on the conversation here, but why don't you share with the audience a little bit of some of your experience with Mobicoach?
I got involved with Mobicoach back earlier this year, mainly because I was looking to expand my business practice. And as I did this, I was looking for ways to engage with students that I had been teaching through a vacation golf school, and trying to reconnect with them. And Mobicoach was a perfect platform with it. But it goes beyond that. I'm actually able to grow my business with the millennials, which you and I talked about a couple weeks ago. And the latest experience, which is worth sharing, is it applies to every age group. I had a 78-year-old retired doctor that I taught today who's told me, signed up for a coaching session and told me, well, I'm not going to be around for a while. And I asked him where he was going. He's traveling abroad for the holidays. Mm-hmm. Showed him Mobicoach, grabbed his iPad, downloaded the app for him. We actually worked it a little bit, or showed him a little bit today, and he is just ecstatic that he doesn't have to be worried that he's going to lose a step, and that if he needs some help being abroad, all he needs is an internet connection. It's a fantastic platform from all angles, and it's definitely been able to help me grow my business. The other real key here, and I'm going to speak on behalf of the instructors, because obviously Jeff and I are both that. The support mechanisms in place currently are just fantastic as well. Dave and Jeff have been traveling here recently to various conferences, and they've been very humble so far throughout the show as far as the reception that they've gotten from the various places they've gone, and the professionals they've showed this to, and it's literally just experiencing it the one time that really makes the wow factor happen from our side. And I would tell you, just from today's experience, if you place it in front of the client's side, the wow factor is astronomical.
Well, and John, the thing too, and we've talked about this before, is there's certainly a lot of technology out there. There's a lot of great gadgets and gizmos, and you can run the gamut with it. But the problem with sometimes technology is it can be very confusing and not user-friendly, both for the coach and for the student. The one thing that really caught my eye about this when you first mentioned Mobicoach and, of course, connected me with David, was really its simplicity. And Jeff really, hit it out of the park when he said it's really, basically download the app and connect with the call. And essentially you're ready to go. And the fact that he's able to engage his students, as I'm sure you are as well, with your experience, and it's a relatively, it's a fairly easy platform to use. It's very user friendly, and you don't have to be an MIT graduate in order to participate in it. So, I can see much as John, as you've experienced today with one of your clients. A lot of people using this who may be traveling abroad or maybe traveling around the country on business that want to be able to tap in and maybe get a quick golf lesson. Maybe they're heading out to Arizona, Jeff, to your old stomping grounds, and they want to play some golf out there. But maybe they need to have a little bit of help before they get engaged. And now they can connect with their favorite instructor and do that. And John, same with your you don't always have to be there face-to-face. This is allowing you to be able to, as you said, grow the business, but also allowing you to, some of the clients that you're currently engaging with, when it's not convenient for them to maybe come down to your facility, you can still help them out with their game.
Yeah,
jump in. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, real quick. Just as a quick example, I talked to an instructor just a few days ago that said he's got a number of clients that live on average, maybe 45 minutes to an hour away. And so, depending on traffic, that can be an hour, or it could be an hour and a half or 2 hours. And so a lot of those clients, particular instructor sees, maybe at the most once a month. And so what he was really excited about was, it's not like this person lives across the world or across the country. They just live an hour away.
Sure.
But he now has an opportunity to engage with that client in a face-to-face live interaction much more often than that client would be willing to get in his car and drive all the way an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what it is, all the way over to actually see him in person. So, the idea that, maybe that client still comes once a month to have that live in-person interaction, but then this coach can connect with that client maybe 2 or 3 other times during the month for shorter, maybe 15-minute or 30-minute sort of check-in sessions during the month.
Right.
And really start to create a much more frequent, live personal interaction with that client that just generates, that much better relationship, more frequent relationship, and hopefully a longer-term relationship over time.
Well, and Jeff, let me just add real quick here. Then gentlemen, you can chime in as well. But Jeff mentioned something earlier too about even a quick 15 minute session. I can see a lot of applications, as you were just talking about here, David, as well. Where maybe somebody, not necessarily that they're that far away, but maybe they're getting ready to play in a corporate event or something, and they don't really have time. For a full session, but maybe need a quick tune-up, or maybe need some kind words, I guess, of encouragement from their coach, for lack of better words. So now they're able to do that without having to really commit a lot of time, both for the student but also for the coach. The coach can help them very quickly resolve maybe some of the issues before they play that event. So there's a ton of really applications that you can use this for. And Jeff, I'm sure that's something that you're going to find as you're going along, and John, you as well, that you're going to find that there's going to be people out there that certainly you want to have your full sessions and that, but there are going to be some people as well that maybe just need a quick tune-up and don't have time to come down to Poppy Hills or Orlando.
No, absolutely, and in showing this technology, we've connected with some very high-level coaches that work with some pretty big name tour players, and they spend a lot of time on airplanes, and they travel all over the world so they can stand on the tee and and be able to be there to support to support their player. And if you are one of these coaches and you're at a Masters or a U.S. Open or a PGA, believe me, if you're working on swing mechanics with your player and it's Wednesday afternoon, it's probably too late. You know what I mean? It's probably too late. So you're there,
sure,
just for support. You're there to say, hey, looks great, go get him, kid. And and the thing is that a lot of these coaches just love the idea that they spend a lot of time with these players, and to not have to go to every single event, and to have the player's caddy just be able to go ahead and film something on the tablet and to connect right away, and then to be able to take a look at it and say, yeah, you know what, we worked on this last week and it's not quite there. You need a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that. I mean, that's invaluable. It's invaluable, for efficiency. It's invaluable for the coach's time. It's invaluable for the player's confidence. You don't always have to be holding someone's hand physically to give them the information and support they need to go out and do what they do. And a lot of these coaches, they're always going to travel with their players, but it's a tough thing to be, in airplanes every single week just to cater to players that are competing at a high level. And so a lot of guys that we talk to were just really excited about just being able to communicate to a variety of players, maybe different events throughout the world, through Mobicoach, and to feel like they can be there and support them and let their players know that they're A-okay to go ahead and express their gift and swing away and try and win a golf tournament.
Exactly. David, let me bring you back in here for a second. I want to ask you a question. I know we've talked about this off air in the past, but maybe you can share some things that are coming up. Currently, in its current format, of course, this is a one-on-one, but you had mentioned that you're looking to add so that multiple students could be involved in a coaching session in a clinic format, I guess. Tell us some of the things that you're looking to add to the Mobicoach platform in the near future.
Yeah, sure. Jeff mentioned that the current product that's out there right now is Mobicoach 2.0, and Mobicoach 2.0, just like you said, is a one coach, one student experience right now. And we've had a lot of coaches that said, boy, I really, would love to be able to leverage my time and be able to interact with multiple students at once. And so in a short amount of time, the next 2 to 4 weeks probably, we'll be releasing the next version of Mobicoach, which is Mobicoach 3.0. And that really, of course, will bring along all the features of Mobicoach 2.0, but then is adding sort of what we call this one-to-many experience. And so basically the coach will have the ability through Mobicoach 3.0 to basically run, whether you want to use the word, clinic or seminar or webinar, basically have a live video feed of whatever it is that they want to present. And literally as many people as want to log in at once can log in from their tablets and watch, this presentation from the coach live in real time. And
right.
The cool thing about that is that it's fully interactive. So anybody that's out there, kind of in the virtual audience, if you will, that's watching on their tablet, has the ability to basically ask a question. So they can tap on a button on their tablet as an audience member, brings up their keyboard on their tablet, and they type their question. It pops up on the coach's screen, and the coach can see, who the person is and what their question is.
Right.
And then the coach can literally connect directly to that person during the session on a live Mobicoach call. So now the coach can see that person and that person can see the coach. And the coach has the ability to use the full features of Mobicoach, capturing video, drawing whiteboarding lines, all of that stuff, to answer the student's question. And while he's doing that, everybody else that's in this virtual audience can watch that live Mobicoach interaction between the coach and the student. Everybody in the audience can see the coach. Everybody in the audience can see the student. So it's a fully interactive one-to-many experience that we're pretty excited about, and it gives coaches the opportunity to be more efficient with their time if they want to, and potentially be able to better monetize their time, if that's something that they're interested in doing. So we're really excited about that opportunity, and we're bringing that to market in fairly short order, and as I said, we're really excited about it.
So certainly, you just to clarify, so that those tuning in tonight, just to make sure they understand, you're looking at probably by the end of this year, this calendar year, that you should have that rolled out.
Definitely.
Okay. Now, I think the other one, and you may have already answered this earlier, and forgive me, I'm having a senior moment, but is it currently available just for iPhone only right now for that format? Is it also going to be available for Android, or is it currently available for Android as well?
Good question. So right now, it's a tablet-based solution. So right now, the current form of Mobicoach is available on iPad, and so basically any version of iPad, whether it's iPad Mini, full-size iPad, right, iPad Air, all of those work. We're developing an Android version of Mobicoach that we're actually testing a version of internally as we speak, and so we're planning to roll that out in the next couple of weeks on the Android side. And then, once the Android side is out, then we'll be basically, any tablet, I guess with the exception of the Windows-based tablets, any Apple or Android tablet will have the ability to run Mobicoach, as well as, both the one-to-one experience and the one-to-many experience. Okay.
And let's talk about, obviously, there's costs involved in that as well. What are some of the costs that, obviously from the coach's side of it, in order for running the program?
Sure. So the way it works is it's the coaches have, we're actually running a pretty great promotion at the moment, which gives coaches basically a 60-day free trial of the service, no commitment, free trial, and then basically a flat monthly rate going forward. So the flat monthly fee, coaches can coach all they want, keep 100% of the revenue that they generate from those sessions that they coach, and all for a low monthly rate. So we're the promotion that we're running right now gives coaches the ability to sign on for a lifetime rate that's a lifetime monthly rate that's significantly lower than what the regular retail rate will be going forward. We've, as John said, we've been traveling around. We were at the TPI World Golf Fitness Summit a few weeks ago. We were at we were also out at the Proponent Group Summit last week, and down at John Hughes' event as well. And the feedback was overwhelming, and so we decided that it might be a great opportunity for us to just do what we can to get as many people signed up as possible. So that's why we're running this promotion right now. Any of the coaches that are interested in hearing more about that program can send us an email to support@mobiplex.com. And we'll get in touch with you and give you all the details and how that works and get you signed up with a profile to try out the service for free.
How long? Just a quick question on that note. How long do you anticipate you're going to run the promotion?
Probably for the next couple of weeks. I mean, it really depends on how many coaches that we get signed up. It's certainly not something that we're going to be doing for very long. So for any coaches that are out there in the audience, if you have any interest at all, I highly recommend you give us a call, because as soon as we get to a certain number of coaches, we're gonna turn off that promotion and go back to the regular pricing. So
okay. Maybe what we can do is, if you want, just to help speed the process up, David, if you want to, after the program, sometime in the day or whatever, if you want to shoot me some general information where they can contact and so forth, I'll get that through all of my social media networks and that with the link and so forth, and numbers that pertain to that, to get out to some of the other coaches as well to help speed that process up for you, okay?
Absolutely, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, this is really what is nice about the golf industry, is we're all here really to help one another. And John and I, you and I have talked about this and in the past, and really this is what we're here to do, and this is one of the reasons why I run this program, is really to help others in the profession. Obviously, I coach as well, and enjoy doing that. I'm currently not on the Mobicoach team, but I'm certainly very interested as well. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here, gentlemen, tonight, was really to talk about this and share this information with not just the general listening audience, but also with, because as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, there's a lot of coaches and teachers and so forth in the business that tune into the program as well, and we want to make them aware of that any way we can. So I'm certainly glad to help you guys out with that. The other thing that I wanted to ask as well, maybe if you can you can talk about is, are there some other things that you're planning that you can let us in on now that you think is going to really help change the game using this product? Is there some other things that you're planning down the road that you can talk about now, or is that something you're going to save for a later date?
Well,
David?
I would say it's probably something that we'll save for a later date. I mean, right now we're really focused and excited about, the Mobicoach 3.0 one-to-many release, that's coming out, and I think, that should have a huge impact on the ability for coaches to be able to reach large audiences. And I think, one comment I want to make about that, and Jeff, feel free to chime in. There's a lot of coaches that when we say, this is a one-to-many platform and, you can reach a lot of people at once, a lot of people say, well, maybe I'm just getting started in the business, or maybe, I haven't done as good of a job as I would like of developing a big database. I don't have 5,000 people that I can reach out to. And I think, the conversation that Jeff and I have a lot is that, most coaches are associated with, whether it's an academy or affiliated with a larger organization. And, that particular coach individually may not have their own Rolodex of 5 or 10,000 people they can reach out to. But I would guarantee that the academy or the other, larger organizations they're affiliated with probably do. And so, it's an interesting concept to be able to, to go to the academy, go to the large organization and say, look, I'm going to put on, the Jeff Ritter show on Friday afternoon at 5:00, and I'm going to bring the content. I'm going to, do the production. I've got all this knowledge in my head that everybody wants access to. I will bring all of the content, and all you need to do is just market this out to your members that this is going to be an opportunity for people who want to sign in. And I think, the way that we're encouraging people to think about this is, most coaches out there, whether it's their $80 an hour, or $150 an hour, $200 an hour, whatever it is, there's a certain subset of people who are willing to pay that price to have access to that coach, right? But there's a much larger subset of people who would love to have access to that coach, but just don't have the money to spend or aren't willing to spend the money. So when you're thinking about this Mobicoach one-to-many platform, think about it in terms of, why don't we try to create a price point that's almost an impulse buy? So you think about what Apple did with music, right? I mean, I can't tell you how much money I spend on $1.29 songs that I never in a million years would have spent on a full album, right? Especially when you have an hour commute in the morning with nothing else to do. So if you think about that impulse buy model, so let's just for the sake of math for a second, let's just say you had 1,000 people that were going to tune into your one-to-many program that you're going to do on Friday at 5, and you charged them all $5 to be there, right? Yep. So I guarantee you if Jeff sent out an email and said, hey, I'm going to do an hour event on Friday, about, improving your short game, whatever, it's going to be $5 you can tune in and potentially have the chance to interact with me, and it's all live, and you can be part of it. And that's an impulse buy at $5, right? But when you multiply it out by 1,000 people that are tuning in, then the economics start to make a lot of sense. So I think it's an interesting model for coaches who, might be interested in, being able to reach out to a lot of people at once with a technology that allows them to do that in a way that they can't currently do today.
Now, just on that note, let me ask you a question, David, and I believe you had talked to me at a separate time about this, but being able to do that particular format, Mobicoach also has the ability to actually do the processing for payments and that through it. You're linked somehow, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah. So right now with Mobicoach, I mean, we, depending on how a coach wants to do it, we can set up. We set up a profile for the coach, and we set up a calendar on our website for the coach that's publicly viewable. And, let's say I wanted to book a lesson with Jeff. I could log into our website for free. I could find Jeff's profile. I can see his rate, which he sets himself. All of our coaches set their own rates, whatever they want to charge for their time. And I can see Jeff's calendar of when he's available and when he's not, and I can literally go into his calendar. I can book a session, and I can pay for it right through our website. And as soon as I do that, it notifies Jeff that David Grove has booked a session in his calendar for this date and this time. So we take care of all the payment on the one-to-one side, and we'll be doing the same thing on the one-to-many side, so that coaches don't have to worry about, how do I charge these people? How do I collect payment? How do I do all the processing and all that kind of stuff? So we'll take care of all that as well.
Yeah, and that makes life a lot easier. And John and Jeff, I'm sure you guys can relate that, you want to really focus on what it is that you're there to do, and not have to deal with all of the I mean, obviously we all have to deal with the business side to a point, but it's kind of nice to have that sort of taken care of so you can focus on the task at hand. Would that be a pretty fair assessment, guys?
John, you still there?
John, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still there. I definitely
wake up,
agree
John. John, wake up.
No, I'm here. From a business standpoint of view, it's definitely a big plus. It makes it much easier. I'm set up a lot of different ways, as I'm sure Jeff is, but most of the teaching professionals out there want some convenience and want something that just press a couple of buttons and it works, and that's what that particular part of the platform provides, that it's literally just a couple of touches, not only for you, the instructor, but for the client that you're teaching, and it's done. It's instantaneous. I've been on a plane and have gotten an email that, hey, I've got a lesson in a few hours once I'm off the plane, and I'm ready for it. The ability to put a schedule up there and have someone understand when you are and are not available is certainly as convenient as well. So it's a very informative tool, as well as very functional for the person who's really just wanting to keep pumping those lessons out, keep pumping the better golfers out, keep pumping out the information to the people that we touch every day, and just leave the rest of it to Dave and his staff to take care of for you.
I think, one quick point to make as well is that, we do have this scheduling function and this payment function and all of that, but it's not a requirement. So, I know there's a lot of coaches out there that have different models in terms of how they, how they connect to their students and how they charge their students. And, we have coaches that, hey, I charge my students for, 3-month packages at the time. I don't charge them by individual lessons and that sort of thing. Or, I'm using a different calendar feature. I want to use my own calendar. I don't want to have 2 calendars that I'm trying to run. So we can accommodate all of that stuff. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that we do have this great calendar and scheduling feature that you can use as a resource, but you certainly don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, and that's a great point too to make, because somebody might look at that and say, I've got my own platform that I use, and I'm comfortable. I've been using it for a few years now, and I don't want to have to switch over and change into something different. So it's nice that Mobicoach offers that flexibility as well, and that's a great thing. Jeff, any closing thoughts as we wind down here the last few minutes? And then, John, if you're still awake with us here, I'll give you a few moments as well. And then, okay. Well, I know you're an hour later than me, so I knew it was getting close to your bedtime, so I wasn't sure. But, Jeff, I'll let you, if you've got some closing thoughts and that you'd like to share with not just the coaches out there, but obviously the students as well, about the Mobicoach platform. John, I'll do you as well, and then David will let you wrap up, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I got into this business with Mobicoach, from the coaches side of the industry, and then the company gave me an amazing opportunity. But, the main reason that I wanted to dig in and be part of it is the fact that I believed in the product, and I believed in what the company wanted to do as far as a mission for really impacting, the way that people communicate, with their coaches or with their students. So I wouldn't be doing this at all unless it worked, and I thought the experience was amazing, and I thought that, from the professional side of things, that it was a true value add to what coaches are doing. From the consumer side, I think it's an exciting proposition to realize that you can really connect with your coach of choice, anytime, anywhere through a device that you're probably using, multiple times a week, if not multiple times a day. So I think it's all about just getting on there and having the experience. And one thing that I can say about the company is that the company is dedicated to making sure that both the coaches and the consumers have the experience they're looking for. And if anyone isn't happy on either side of that equation, then the company steps in and does what's necessary. We haven't had to do that, but for the people that are out there that are skeptical, go ahead and hop on and give it a try. You're going to love it, and we're going to take good care of you.
Yeah, and support's huge, and it certainly sounds that you guys have a great program in place to help alleviate that concern. But that's fantastic. John, I'm going to let you take a moment or two here, and then we'll wrap up with David. And just remember that Jeff started the waking up thing, so I don't want you to hold that against me at a later date. Okay?
No, that's fine, Jeff. He is 4 hours behind, or 3 hours.
I know.
He
he's got
that right to do it.
He called in,
John,
and I wanted to give him an opportunity to answer all these questions. That's all. I didn't want to jump in and steal the show.
No, and I didn't mean to steal the show from Jeff or Dave either. So much as I agree with Jeff. It's an absolutely outstanding, and it's so I always talk about wow factor, and from the very first moment I saw the product, it was definitely a wow factor for me. I agree with Jeff. It's really providing an opportunity for everybody from all angles to really communicate with each other in so many very variable ways, and it allows you to extend that relationship that you create with someone, whether you actually physically meet them and shake their hand, or you meet them because they've chosen you out of so many and said, you know what, I've heard about this person, I'd really like to take a lesson from them, and it provides them that platform to do it. From the very get-go, Dave and I have had this conversation, and I firmly believe in it, that one day we're going to see somebody stand up with a major trophy from one of the tours and thank their coach who they have never actually physically touched or met. And this particular platform, Mobicoach, the people at Mobiplex are definitely frontiering that trail to make that happen. I've yet to see any other platform out going to make that happen. There's a lot of subscription-based things that are tape delayed or video delayed. As Jeff poignantly said, when you can literally touch someone on the tee for 15 minutes because they've got to have something to make them feel comfortable and confident about what they're doing, there's nothing else out there that compares to it. And as much as Dave informs me as where they're leading and where they're going, I see them as the industry front runner from here on out. Absolutely fantastic experience from both the consumer and from the instructor, and I'd highly recommend an instructor jump on board with the special they're running. It's an incredible offer, probably a once-in-a-lifetime situation to really get in on the ground floor and be one of those pioneers.
Yeah, fantastic, and well said, John. I'm glad that you stayed up for that. We appreciate your input. David, if you want to add to that and just wrap up here, and then we'll say our goodbyes.
Sure. First things first, and most importantly, it sounds like we need to get you a profile set up on Mobicoach.
Yeah. That would be first. I agree.
No, I think, at Mobicoach, we really believe that everybody deserves to have access to a great coach. And I think, Jeff has said this to me multiple times, that a great coach really expands the level of possibility in their client. And, you get outside of places like, Orlando and Florida and Phoenix and, that sort of thing. And there's a lot of people across the country that just don't have access to the coaches that they want to have access to. And I think, through Mobicoach, we really have the ability to make that happen. And so, the opportunity for coaches to really, develop that personal relationship and continue that personal relationship with their clients, and to be able to interact with their clients frequently, and to be able to do all of the things that Jeff and John have talked about that they've done with their students, is something that we're really excited about. And I think, I think John told me that he has a student that he had been teaching that happened to be in Florida for something and made a special trip just to come out and meet him, because he'd never actually met him in person, although they had coached, been on Mobicoach a number of times. So it's just really exciting for me. I'm not a golf coach, but it's been really exciting for me to see the interaction that all of our coaches have generated with their clients through Mobicoach, and just the level of excitement and satisfaction that the coaches and the students have had I can't tell you how many times I've had a coach do their very first lesson through Mobicoach, and about 5 minutes after their lesson's over, I get a phone call, and it's the coach going, "Oh my gosh, it works!" you know, I mean, so the instant that the coach connects to that person, they see that person doing something wrong, the coach corrects what they're doing through Mobicoach, and then watches them take their very next swing and do it right. And that one experience, the light bulb goes on, and that client and that coach are sold on Mobicoach, and they start doing lessons from there on out. So it's as John said, I would highly encourage any professionals, both from the coaching side and the student side. I would highly encourage anybody who hasn't experienced Mobicoach to give it a try. Coaches, particularly with this promotion that we have and the free trial, the no commitment free trial. I guarantee you that if you do one lesson with one student through Mobicoach, that you'll be sold. So, feel free to, as I said before, send us an email to support@mobiplex.com or go to our website, which is mobicoach.com, and just, go down to support and send an email. Let us know that you're interested, and we can get you signed up with a profile and get you going and get you playing around with it, and I guarantee that you'll like it.
Yeah, and then get... If I can just add...
Yep.
I just wanted to add one thing, and we talked about places like Phoenix and Orlando, but there's a lot of fantastic coaches in smaller markets. The reason why there isn't more is that because it's a smaller market, the coaches really don't believe that that's a place that they can maybe thrive as much as they like to, and that's certainly how I felt. I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania that I loved everything about it, but I made a decision where I said to myself, I don't know if I can live here and coach here and be able to create the kind of lifestyle that I want, just because of, the lack of resources and maybe the lack of golfers. So I, got in my car and I drove to where I thought all the golfers would be, and that's how I ended up in Phoenix. But, with social media, if you have a voice, you got the ability to broadcast, to the world, who you are, what your thoughts are. And I think that a lot of these small market coaches might feel like, well, why should I do that? Because, this person from Luxembourg or England or Sydney, Australia, they're not going to come fly to my town. And the thing is that now I think you're empowered as a coach to go ahead and put more information out there and realize that now you have a device that can actually help you monetize that training that you work so hard to give to the world. So I just wanted to add that one thing because I think there's a lot of coaches out there in more markets than just the big ones.
Well said. And on that note, gentlemen, I've got to wrap it up, but I want to thank David and Jeff and, of course, John always for joining me this evening and talking about this great product, Mobicoach. And I know we're going to be hearing lots of more great things about it. And David, you and I talked a little bit about some suggestions that I had that maybe some way that I could help. And we'll talk about that again here in the near future, and maybe we can actually get the four of us on a conference call, and I'll share a little bit more of that with all of you, some thoughts about how I can help with the program and so forth here, and spreading that. I've got some ideas, I think, for 2015 that might help, that I'm making some changes on my end as well, that I'd be certainly more than happy to further that and work with you guys and getting this out there even more. So we'll talk about that off air. But guys, I want to thank you very much for coming on Golf Talk Live tonight. It's been a lot of fun. I enjoyed hearing more about it. I learned something new every time I have you guys on here in the profession. And David as well, thank you for joining and sharing this with us. And much continued success. And for all of you coaches and teachers and golf gurus out there that want to take your business up a notch, you need to check out Mobicoach. And guys, thank you very much for coming on the program tonight.
My pleasure.
It was great.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, John.
All right, guys. Have a great evening, and thank you very much for joining me.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. Okay, that was David Grove and Jeff Ritter, David being the VP Business Development, and Jeff, of course, VP Sports and Fitness at Mobiplex, here talking about the Mobicoach golf system. And it's something I think that, as I said, and we've talked about here for the last hour or so, is something definitely something that you guys want to check out for you coaches out there. And you definitely want to be able to hear a little bit more about that. So if you missed this program during the live, or you're tuning into the last few moments of it, you definitely want to go into the archive section here on Golf Talk Live and listen to the program in its entirety. But I want to thank all of my guests this evening. Craig Hanlin, of course, PGA General Manager at the Hombre Golf Club in Panama City Beach. Thanks for joining me. And, of course, you can find out more about the Hombre in South Coast Golf Guide and many of the other great courses here in the Southeast. And I particularly want to thank David Grove and Jeff Ritter for joining me tonight. And thanks to John Hughes, PGA Master Teacher Professional, for joining in and sharing your thoughts as well. Always glad to have John on the program as well, and I'm going to have him on more and more. But thanks, guys, for a great show. And thank you to all the listeners that tune in each and every week from around the world. Appreciate your support. I certainly enjoy and have a great amount of pleasure of bringing a number of highly talented coaches and teacher professionals, authors and entrepreneurs that stop by here on the program. And it's through their participation and guest appearances that have really helped to make Golf Talk Live a first-class show. And I want to, of course, give a special thank you to some of the followers and some of those that really sponsor the program. Mr. Jonathan Laird, of course, I've mentioned several times tonight at South Coast Golf Guide. You can find out more information and about how you can get your hot little hands on one of the guides, and check out Hombre Golf Club at southcoastgolfguide.com. Also, Nikki and Tiffany Litherland, for all of your help in spreading the word about the program. My good buddy, Mr. Bernie Pinder, owner of Ontic Golf, a great line of custom designed putters. My good friend overseas in Ireland, Mr. Peter Doyle, certainly a great instructor and great club maker and fitter as well. Thank you, Peter, for all of your continued support in the program as well. Have a great week, everybody, a great weekend, and I will see you next week right here on Golf Talk Live. God bless everybody.